Thank you for checking out our video. Step 1, you're going to wipe down your forms with Form Release. In this video, we decided to use ZCounterForms Form Release. You are welcome to use any form release on your forms prior to pouring. When wiping down the forms, you'll get a healthy coat of release on there and let it air dry prior to pouring your mix. After your forms are wiped down, you're going to begin mixing your material. Always use the proper personal protective equipment. In this case, we recommend using a dust mask, gloves, safety glasses, and hearing protection. As you can see here, Mike is using the ZCounterForms dual head mixer. If you've ever used a single head mixer, this dual head mixer is worth every penny. It makes mixing easy and fun. Remember to mix your mix entirely before pouring it into your forms. Most concrete mixes are going to require a 3-minute mix time. When you're done mixing, be sure to clean off all your equipment. We tend to make our mix a little bit on the wetter side. Whatever mix you're using, be sure to read your technical data sheet, and from there, we like to add the maximum amount of water allowed. This tends to be a little more flowable and is easier to work with when you're doing a precast concrete mix. This mix is ZCounterForms Concrete Countertop Solutions White Concrete Mix. It comes in a 50-pound bag, and with the dual head mixer, it's easy to put together. As you can see here, you would want to use some sort of mixing station to protect the floors beneath you, especially when working indoors. When pouring the mixes into each other, from batch to batch, it's an excellent idea to have a concrete vibrator nearby. This will help combine the mixes together and release a lot of the air within the mix. Once complete and almost ready, you can use a concrete vibrator or a palm sander to hit the edges of the forms. This will also get a lot of the air out. Here Mike is using the concrete vibrator on the edges of the form, as well as in the mix. Remember, we make our mix a little on the wet side, and this helps it flow into the forms better. If you don't have a concrete vibrator, be sure to make your mixes consistent so they mesh well and flow together well. And at the very least, take a stir stick or a margin trowel and mix them up a little bit together. And then continue with your palm sander on the edges. With forms this size, it's also easy to have one person on each end and just shake them a little bit, which you'll see here in a second with the round tabletop form. And if you are doing this indoors, remember, using a vibrator or a palm sander or picking them up and shaking them can cause a little bit of a splatter. One of the most important steps is to make sure that your forms are going to be resting on a level area. If it's not on a level area, all the concrete can flow to one side and you can be a little bit off with your final dimensions once hardened. Once the concrete stiffens up a little bit, feel free to use a screed over the top. With the tabletop, it's not as vital to use a screed on the top or get a smooth surface, as we are using the precast method to rely on the rubber on the bottom to get a smooth surface. The portion that you're seeing now is going to be the bottom of the ultimate tabletop. Here we are in day 2. We come back, the concrete is stiffened, and we're going to strip the forms. You're going to use a margin trowel or a flat scraper to break the seal from the concrete to the rubber. This part is slow moving and time consuming, but very important if you do not want to ruin your forms. As the form comes off, you want to work it around and take it off simultaneously on each side. For the centerpiece, it's a good idea to have a rubber mallet and something to lightly tap it out. Once stripped, you have a beautiful looking table leg. You will continue with each step until all the pieces are stripped and you can assemble them together. Here we're using a palm sander hooked up to a vacuum system. This will help eliminate the dust, especially indoors. On the side of the concrete that was facing the rubber, not much prep is needed. On the other side, however, there's quite a bit of scraping and sanding that needs to be done. If you want to spend less time doing this, it's not a bad idea to screed the tops of the forms when you pour them. After it sets up a while, lightly float it and then take a steel trowel to it. This will make sure it's smooth, which we did not do in this case. Once you're done sanding, get a wet or damp cloth and wipe the excess dust off. Once air dried, it makes sense to do it again. And then once that time air dries, you can also just wipe it with a dry cloth. When it comes time to finally finish it, you do not want any contaminants on your surface. The form that we used is 2 1/4 inches thick. Here we measured down in 1 inch to make it 1 1/4 inches thick. This mix is good for up to 1 inch or more. Once the form comes off, you will reveal your finished surface. If done properly, you will only need light sanding. Light sanding was needed here. Once complete with the sanding, it'll be ready to finish however you want. Now that your tabletop is complete, you are free to stain it, dye it, you can polish it, seal it, and you can also put an epoxy coating on this. Thank you for watching our video. We hope to post more soon so you can watch those as well.